Sleep is awesome. Now, going to bed in and of itself can be a preparatory process that can either make or break the quality of sleep and how you feel waking up the next morning. If you go to bed with an empty stomach and full mind, it's going to be difficult. But what if instead you went to bed with a satisfied soul and a clear mind? There's a way to do that. It's very simple and it costs you nothing. That's what we're going to talk about today on this episode of the Mindset Mastery Podcast.
So today we're going to talk about nightly reflection. And this is a huge topic. It is super helpful because it might be looking at something really small. It's just a nightly reflection. It's probably going to be 5 minutes per night. Mm-hmm. And if we keep doing that year after year, it's going to compound to something really great.
Exactly. So a lot of you may have heard the benefits of gratitude, of starting your day with a brief meditation or just going through a list that you're grateful for, looking at your life, your past, your upbringing, whatever that may be. But if you look at the current reality of the day you just lived, it's very real because it just happened within that 24 hours. Mm-hmm. So if you relive all the positive things you've done, all the impact, that's going to raise your level of gratitude because it's so real, it just happened. It'll reinforce that and really allow you to feel that sense of gratefulness. And going to bed feeling grateful is very satisfying because not only will you be able to go to bed feeling fulfilled, but you'll be waking up the next morning with the last thing you thought about of the awesome impact you had that last day. And that's going to set the stage for the day you wake up with.
Yes. And that's really interesting. You focused on reflecting the good things, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, me, for example, when I was just starting on this journey, I always reflect on the things that did wrong, and they will end up worrying.
Yeah, I was going to say, or worrying and thinking through the list of to-dos.
Right.
Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that. I went through that too. And it was a cascade where you'd think of one thing and that would lead to another. It was like a spider web of worry. Mm-hmm. And all it takes is one worrisome thought. So that's what we're going to talk about. If you're suffering with that, going to bed just worrying, creating lists, and then you feel anxious or guilty for going to sleep. Yeah. Like, I can't go to sleep, I have all this stuff to do. And then if you have lack of sleep, you're not going to be productive. It's just a never-ending loop of crap.
Exactly. So there's the difference between judging yourself, then reflecting on what I did wrong, what I did right, and then balancing that on a subjective point of view instead of just being so harsh, way too harsh on yourself sometimes.
So that's the problem that I have faced, Alex faced, and maybe you have faced. Now we're going to talk about the solution. Very simple, practical questions you can ask yourself when you're going to bed to get in a state of clarity and peace so that you can sleep in peace.
Tim Ferriss said, the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions you ask to yourself.
Yes.
So instead of doing other things, we can just change the questions we ask ourselves every night. Instead of, why did I do that? Whoa, today is horrible. I did something wrong. Instead of, okay, let's try this different questions, which we're going to talk about. The first one is, what have I given today?
So that could be time, doesn't have to be money or like a grandiose gift, but did you give a compliment today to a total stranger? And when you did that make them smile? That's something you gave. Did you give your time? Let's say you were in a grocery store line, it was really busy, maybe on a Sunday when it's like nuts, and someone behind you only had a couple items, so you let them go in front of you. A very simple thing that made their day, just a random act of kindness. So what did you give? Was it time? Was it an act? Was it a compliment? What did you do to make someone else's day better? And I guarantee you might not, at first question, you might not think, oh, I didn't do anything, because you might be thinking too big. You don't have to give someone a car or buy someone a house, but just something very small might seem small to you, but to someone else it can really be their entire day and going forward and making them snap out of possibly a negative mindset that they're in.
Right, it's always the little things that matters the most.
Yes.
And also when we are focusing on, okay, what I gave today, instead of we're trying to focus on ourselves, we are shifting our perspective on other people. Like, how can I give other people happiness for the day? And I remember you shared a story about your pharmacy story about the sticker notes.
Yeah, the stickers.
That?
Yeah. So with the stickers, it's literally a sheet of smiley face stickers that I put on prescription bags when patients in my pharmacy are picking up prescriptions. And if they're having a bad day, or I know they're struggling with something, I'll just ask them, "What's your favorite color?" And they'll be like, "Huh?" So it catches them off guard, snaps them out of their state, right? They're like, "What do you want that for?" "Well, what's your favorite color?" "Blue." And then they look real confused. So I'm like, okay, I don't say anything. I go get a blue smiley face sticker, put it on their prescription bag, and then ring them out. And then they see it, and instantly they smile. It is what, a penny, if that, costs, maybe. You can get them on Amazon, like 1,500 smiley face stickers for $7. But the impact is extraordinary, because they literally stop and say, it's the little things. I'm having such a hard time. My husband's battling this disease. I got bad news. But this, I didn't expect it. And it really made me smile, because you caught them off guard. You did something they did not expect. What stranger is going to go out of their way to do something nice to make them smile? So when you do that, you're literally going to make someone's day. So that's just one innovative thing that I've done that really has impact, and I use it to this day. I try to do that every single day. So when I'm at work at the pharmacy, that's my goal, is at least one person I want to make smile through that. That's one of my goals while I'm there.
I think it's really profound to share that story, because we might think, okay, this is just a little sticker. But what happens is, like, they are surprised, because no one would put that much into thought to make someone's day. And it's just such a little simple detail, but the impact is huge.
Yes, and that's a lesson I learned, is I thought it was silly, something just small, but the reaction and the change in body language that gave someone that was literally had months to live from a condition just made their day. And I'm like, wow, this works. So that's something you can do. Just an example that highlighted some small act that's very low cost or no cost can really make someone's day, and that is priceless. So that's the first question to ask on, is what have you given today? And it doesn't have to be money or monetary things,
right,
but what act of inspiration have you given to others? It's said that whatever you want to get, you will get it through giving. So if you want to be happy, if you want happiness, give happiness. Make other people happy, and you shall get that back. It's very simple, but it's a profound thing that works all the time. So that's the first question. The second question is, what did I learn today? So if you're not growing, you're dying. It's always a process of constant and never-ending improvement, which is exciting. There's always something to learn. Everyone has different passions, so they focus on those areas. So everyone has this wealth of knowledge to learn from. You have experiences to learn from, the perspective you approach that with. Every single day has an opportunity to learn something. I always said in exams, because I'm not a good test taker, I call it a learning experience. So C's get degrees. So I learned that. I didn't know that. I knew that anyway. But it's just something that you can learn. It depends on your perspective with each individual situation.
Yeah, and it's interesting that, so what did I learn today? It comes back to the scale. It doesn't have to be huge. As long as we learned something, it can be, okay, I learned to make other people smile. I learned to listen more today. Today, because that I forget to listen to that people, that lose our chance to connect with each other. So tomorrow I'm gonna listen more, and that we can set ourselves goals which we can reach, and we get better every day. Not that we're gonna achieve the goal by just one day, but we are getting closer. We are making progress, and
Exactly.
That's where the compound comes from. Like, if we ask ourselves, what did I learn today, and we're focusing on learning, focusing on gaining experience. And that way, if we keep asking this kind of questions, we are eventually, inevitably, going to get closer to our goal.
Exactly.
No matter what your goal is.
They say improve just 1% each day, and that over time will compound. And I mentioned earlier, perspective is huge. So let's take a scenario that probably happens to you. I know it's happened to me. Let's say you woke up late and you didn't have time to prepare your meals. So it created this cascade of, I woke up late, I didn't have time to prepare my meals, so I had to skip breakfast. I was late to work. When I got to work, I didn't have any meals, so I didn't prep. It was a disaster. Like, you could look at it that way. Or you could say, at the end of the day, while I'm really hungry, I learned that I need to prepare ahead of time. I could sleep in, so instead of prepping the meals in the morning, what if I prepared my meals the night before? So that even if I slept in and something happened, I would have a safeguard. It wouldn't matter because I already prepped my meals the night before. I learned that preparing ahead of time can really help. Today's preparation determines tomorrow's achievement. So you could look at it that way. It really depends on your perspective and how you choose to look at things. And a lot of times we are quick to label something as a bad experience, but those are often the best because they're challenging. They challenge us with what we don't know because we're not comfortable in how to react. So that will allow us to grow. How to respond to that favorably, how can we turn this and use this for something to empower us rather than bring us down? And that's all about the perspective you choose to look at it. I'm not saying ignore any negativity or anything like that, but look at it through a lens of what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And if you do that, you will grow beyond expectation.
It's super true, and you just remind me of a quote that Steve Jobs said: "We can only moving forward by connect the dots from the past." And the how we look at the questions happening from the past plays a tremendous role, because think about Tony Robbins. When he was young, he was living really like a bad, horrible condition. What if he didn't ask himself that kind of question? What if he said, okay, my day is horrible and I was living in a horrible apartment, and why this is happening to me? Instead of, okay, how can I benefit from this? What does it ultimately mean why this is helping me reaching my goal?
Yes.
If every night he asks him that, there's not a single doubt he's going to be the man he is today, which is super successful.
Absolutely. And that's what Alex was talking about, was the victim mindset. Woe is me, this is terrible, this and that. Phenomenal book, and some of the most profound research in psychology was from Dr. Carol Dweck. She wrote a book called Mindset that looks at two types of mindsets that you choose, not that you have, but you choose to adopt: the growth mindset or the fixed mindset. The fixed mindset Alex just described. Oh my gosh, like I have such bad circumstances. Why was I born this way? How come I wasn't born into a richer family? Woe is me, I can never amount to anything because this is how I am. If you define yourself by your circumstances and label that and accept that as your identity, that's the fixed mindset, and you will stay there. It's fixed. However, if you look at the growth mindset of this is a challenge and I can grow from it, I can learn and adapt and get stronger from this, I can overcome it and use that circumstance, use that learning experience, and put that skill under my belt so that the next time I encounter it or something similar, I can go right past it and use the previous trials and tribulations to advance and grow and continue this process. And that's why that's called the growth mindset. And it's a choice. You choose to do it. A lot of people think that they're born smart or not smart. All that really means, if you have a lower IQ or skill set, is you just have to work harder than the other person.
Yes.
That's all it means. So you might have an advantage in one area or another, but if you have the advantage of having a growth mindset, you can apply that to any area of your life and overcome any obstacle comes your way.
Yeah, and it's not easy, because it's so easy to whenever it happens to you, just blaming on other outside, blaming on your parents, blaming on the society, everything. But when you starting to see, okay, I can take charge of my life, I can live my life on my own term, and then all the weights are on your shoulder, so you now have to take actions.
Yes.
And that's why where a lot of people don't want to look at themselves, with honesty, with brutal honesty. Say, this is me. I am the only one person that got me into this place. Now, how can I do about it? What can I do about it? Now, what can I moving forward instead of blaming others? So, how can people have that self-awareness?
Exactly. So that really comes with a desire and a philosophy or personal mindset of expecting more of yourself than anyone else could ever imagine. And that is true power, when you have that expectation. One thing that I like to say, being in the bodybuilding and fitness world, is when you feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, do reps with it. Why not? Right? Because what's going to happen? When you do reps, you're going to get stronger. Yeah. And it's when you're working out, if you use the same weight over and over, a light weight, you're not going to grow.
Yes.
However, if you increase the weight, increase the intensity and the stimulus, that's going to be a challenge or adversity to your muscles, and they're going to respond by growing, getting bigger, getting more adapted to that environment, so that when they encounter that the next time, they're able to handle it. Very similar to the immune system being more dorky.
Yeah.
So what's the purpose of vaccines? You're injecting a dead virus, in most cases, a dead virus into the body. It's dead, so it's not going to cause or elicit a immune response. But the point is, it's giving a challenge to your body, to the immune system, that it has not seen before. So it recognizes it, it can learn and adapt and literally build that memory immunity so that the next time, let's say you do get encountered with the live form of the virus from a sick person, when it encounters it, your immune system is going to say, I see this, I've seen it before, I know how to attack it and overcome it. And it's going to elicit a response that's greater and faster and allow you to kill that pathogen and not elicit the signs and symptoms of that disease. So that's literally your body proving to you that you can do this. It just comes down to the actions and thoughts that you take.
And we see a lot of successful people. They're actually, a lot of people thought, they born on a silver plate. It's actually exact opposite.
Yes.
A lot of highly successful people, they've been through hell. Like
Yes.
they've been through like really horrible experiences, and they use that as a leverage.
Yes.
And so it comes back to mindset, like how. So for people that are listening, how can everybody have equipped with that mindset?
Right. So that just comes with a choice. It's your choice. It's
Right.
not someone's born with this or not. But just like Alex said, everyone says, "Oh, I wish life was easy. I wish I, had it made and was born into a wealthy family," talking about finances. Well, if you have that, let's say you have an adversity that comes, you've never had to deal with that before, so you're not going to know what to do. So adversity comes, all your money's gone. Now you're really screwed. However, if you were born poor and you had to get innovative and creative, let's say Damon John, for example, multi-billionaire on Shark Tank, has a huge company because he was born poor and had no choice. If you don't figure out how to make money, you will starve and die. That's how he started.
Wow.
So now he has the skills to not only create money, but keep it and grow it. So that if he has adversity, he's seen it before. So it's like an immediate reaction. He knows how to deal with that. So just in the finance perspective, that's one thing to do, is to learn and adapt through that adversity so that you can grow and strengthen yourself. So that's the second thing, is what did I learn today? Looking at adversity and challenging experiences. The third and final question is, how has today added to the quality of my life, or how can I use today as an investment in my future?
This is such a profound question. This is actually the first time I heard this. And it reminds me of, when I just heard this, what it reminds me of is we're getting better every day. It all comes back to compounding, because each day millionaire, billionaire, a successful person is not made in just one day. It's reps.
Yes,
It's a lot of reps. It's a lot of failure.
There's no overnight success.
There's none. I mean, we might see a guy, a gal success overnight, but we didn't see is the person spent 10 years, 20 years crafting his, working on his craft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can actually use a personal example. I launched my book. I came out with a book that I've been working on for a while, and it became a bestseller in less than 24 hours. So people saw it as an overnight success. However, I had been gaining experience for 8 years on how to, because the book is about how to be healthy, fit in fitness, nail your nutrition, and master your mindset in the pharmacy world. So I gained that experience over about 8 years. I started marketing and working on the book about a year out, making connections and networking and so forth. So all of that time was compounding leading up to the release date, which was seen as, oh, you released it and it was a success, like overnight success. But there's all that background work. So it's kind of like the iceberg illusion. You see this little iceberg above the waterline, but what you don't see is this huge, massive 80-ton force underneath the waterline. So the iceberg illusion is something that can be said for that. But asking the question of how has today added to the quality of my life, it goes back to gratitude. And that's positive and negative. So positive, like, I'm so thankful for these things. Negative, I'm so thankful for these things because I learned from it. What did I learn from it? Be that a breakup or a deal went bad or whatever it is, you learn not to do that, not to be in that situation again. It might not have been you might not have felt grateful at the time, but looking back, that's why reflecting is so important. To say, you know, it was negative at the time, but if I look back at it, I actually learned because I'm not going to do that again. And if I'm in that situation, I'm not going to have a bad outcome because I have grown, because I have learned from that. So I can advance and be a better person, be more equipped to handle adversity with life as it comes in the future.
Wow. This kind of mindset is unstoppable. So,
It is. It can be unstoppable,
yeah.
and you can create it. It comes back to the question of how do I adopt this? And it is a choice. It's not going to be easy if this is new for you. It's practice. Everything takes practice. And what's great is you get a new chance every day.
Yeah, new chance every day, and this is why like we do daily, nightly reflections because okay, so today didn't work, and then we work on tomorrow.
Yes.
And it's all steps. It's all steps. Say for example, we have a goal. Our goal is to walk to New York, and we couldn't just walk to New York in one day. We're gonna take a step closer, and then we're gonna eventually get there.
Yes.
And that's comes to your drive, like why this goal is so important for you. And when you focus on that goal, okay, so how today's investment is gonna benefit my future of getting to New York. So that way, when we spend our day, we're walking closer instead of we're just running around and
We have
getting
a
lost.
direction.
Yeah, and then we have a direction, and then we use the nightly reflection as a tool to measure okay if we are getting closer today or we are walking back, and then if we're walking back, why and how can we change that tomorrow?
Exactly.
Yes.
So those are the three questions, but we're going to give you practical examples of what we do. So Alex, how do you like to end your nights? What's your secret sauce for nightly reflection?
So my secret sauce is what I asked myself is what I did. It's called less, more, and different. So the first one is less. So what did I did wrong today that I'm going to do less of tomorrow? So this is the hardest question because we usually are really easy judging other people. We see other people's flaws, we see what other people did wrong, but when it comes to ourselves, man, like it's going to be tough because
you can make excuses to like,
Yeah.
oh, well, that happened because it wasn't my fault because this and that. So you
yeah.
got to be real and honest with yourself. And
Right.
just, you have to have that desire to be the very best version possible. And that starts with leaving the excuses at the door and taking ownership. And not putting other people to blame, but even if there's a situation that was started or initiated from someone else, you could have intervened somehow. So that's the mindset, is that extreme ownership, which is an awesome book, actually. Extreme Ownership, I highly recommend that. But having that mindset of
Right.
owning every situation, even if someone else was involved, how could you have
Yeah.
improved it?
I always say it's always my fault. It's my fault. So that way I can do something about it instead of so it's other people's fault.
When you take ownership, you can change it. When you give that power away and say it was someone else did it, you can't change that outcome.
Right, and then it's also self-awareness, and I think self-awareness is it's so cool because we need to look at ourselves really honestly.
Yes.
And by understanding ourselves, then we can know, okay, how can we be a better person? How can we tap into our personal power? It all comes down to self-awareness, because if we don't have that, we're just living for other people.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And so this is my first question: is what less? So what I did wrong today, I'm going to do less of tomorrow. And the next thing is more. So the problem with me is like I always judge myself too harshly sometimes. So I'm falling on the extreme less side. So I'll always judging myself, and then I forget to what did I did right today that I'm proud of. What I'm proud of today, I'm going to do more of tomorrow. So it comes down to a little celebration. And so that way it builds our self-confidence.
Yes.
Because that's very important of getting our goals, reaching our goals. So the second one is, what do I do more of tomorrow that I'm proud of today? And the third one is different. So it comes down back to the first one. I did something wrong today, and then how can I make that right tomorrow? For example, today I played 2 hours of video games, which I wasted 2 hours of my time. And I feel bad. So tomorrow I'm going to do different. So how I'm going to spend that 2 hours of time differently, which is going to help me getting closer to my goal. So for example, I can spend that time reading 2 hours of books, or going the extra 2 hours taking a walk, going to gym, spending time with family. So that way I know what can I do different the next day. So it's always the little fix
Yes.
every day.
constant and never-ending improvement.
Yeah,
I
so
love
that's my
those
secret
examples. Those are some things that I'll be asking myself now when I tuck myself in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I like that Alex talked about confidence because that's actually the next podcast
Yes.
episode. How to create unstoppable confidence like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Please stay tuned for the next. This is Dr. Adam Martin with the Fit Pharmacist Healthcare Podcast, signing off with Mr. Lou. See you guys.